As the gentle evening breeze flows across the peaceful coastline of La Libertad, Peru, where the vast Pacific Ocean meets ancient sandy shores that have witnessed 3 millennia of human history, we begin tonight a tranquil journey into one of archaeology's most recent and fascinating discoveries. The 3,000-year-old human remains found in August 2025 that have opened a new window into the mysterious world of the Cupisnique people, a sophisticated civilization that flourished along Peru's northern coast over 1,000 years before the mighty Inca Empire ever existed. Let your mind drift peacefully through the warm coastal landscape 675 kilometers north of Lima, where patient archaeologists armed with brushes and trowels have carefully uncovered secrets that challenge our understanding of ancient Peruvian cultures while revealing the complex spiritual beliefs that guided communities whose names were nearly lost to time. Close your eyes and feel the eternal rhythm of Pacific waves that have kept these sacred mysteries safe beneath layers of sand and sediment, protecting the remnants of rituals and traditions that speak to the profound relationship between life, death, and the divine that characterized one of South America's earliest known civilizations. Picture yourself standing on the sun-warmed beaches near the ancient ceremonial site where archaeologist Henri Tantalean and his dedicated research team made their groundbreaking discovery during the hot August days of 2025, their careful excavation work proceeding methodically beneath the clear Peruvian sky while seabirds circle overhead and the constant sound of waves creates a peaceful backdrop for the patient scientific investigation that would soon capture international attention. The coastal environment that surrounds this archaeological treasure appears deceptively tranquil, with rolling sand dunes and scattered vegetation creating a landscape that seems untouched by the passage of centuries. Yet beneath this serene surface lie the carefully preserved remains of 14 individuals whose deaths over 3,000 years ago continue to teach us about the sophisticated religious practices and social structures that characterized Peru's pre-Columbian civilizations. The remarkable preservation conditions that enabled this extraordinary discovery reflect the unique environmental characteristics of Peru's northern coast, where the dry climate and stable sand deposits have created natural conservation conditions that rival the most advanced modern preservation techniques. The combination of minimal rainfall, consistent temperatures, and protective sediment layers has maintained these ancient remains in conditions that allow contemporary researchers to extract unprecedented amounts of information about diet, health, lifestyle, and cultural practices from bones, teeth, and associated archaeological materials that would have deteriorated completely in less favorable environments. Watch as the excitement of archaeological discovery unfolds through the careful documentation process that characterizes contemporary scientific methodology, where each bone fragment, pottery shard, and soil sample receives meticulous attention and precise recording that ensures no potentially valuable information is lost during the excavation process. The team's systematic approach to site investigation demonstrates how modern archaeology has evolved from treasure hunting into rigorous scientific discipline that requires patience, precision, and deep respect for the cultural heritage being studied while maintaining strict protocols for protecting both the integrity of discoveries and the dignity of ancient peoples whose lives are being reconstructed through material evidence. The Cupisnique culture that created these ceremonial sites represents one of Peru's earliest known complex societies, predating the famous Inca Empire by over a millennium, while demonstrating sophisticated understanding of architecture, metallurgy, ceramics, and religious symbolism that would influence subsequent Andean civilizations for generations. Archaeological evidence suggests that these coastal peoples developed advanced agricultural techniques, extensive trade networks, and elaborate ceremonial practices that supported stable communities capable of undertaking large-scale construction projects and maintaining complex social hierarchies across multiple generations of cultural development. The careful analysis of skeletal remains discovered at the site reveals important information about the health, diet, and lifestyle of these ancient Peruvians, with bone chemistry studies indicating that the sacrificed individuals had consumed predominantly marine-based diets supplemented by agricultural products that demonstrate the sophisticated resource management strategies that characterized successful coastal civilizations. The absence of malnutrition indicators and the evidence of adequate healthcare suggest that the Cupisnique people had developed effective methods for ensuring community welfare while maintaining the social stability necessary for conducting complex religious ceremonies. The positioning of the 14 individuals found during the August 2025 excavation provides crucial insights into the specific ritual practices that governed Cupisnique religious ceremonies, with the face-down burial orientation and bound hands indicating adherence to precise ceremonial protocols that had been passed down through generations of spiritual leaders and community elders. The deliberate arrangement of the remains suggests that these deaths were not random violence but carefully planned religious activities conducted according to established traditions that held deep meaning for the participants and observers who witnessed these solemn ceremonies. The archaeological methodology employed during the 2025 investigation represents the cutting edge of contemporary heritage research, incorporating advanced techniques for bone analysis, soil chemistry examination, and three-dimensional site documentation that enable researchers to extract far more information from their discoveries than would have been possible using earlier archaeological approaches. The integration of digital photography, GPS mapping, and laboratory analysis ensures that every aspect of the site can be studied repeatedly by multiple specialists while preserving permanent records for future researchers who may develop even more sophisticated analytical techniques. The international significance of the Cupisnique discoveries extends far beyond Peru's archaeological community to encompass broader questions about the development of complex societies in the Americas, the role of religious practices in maintaining social organization, and the sophisticated cultural achievements of pre-Columbian civilizations that were once dismissed by scholars who underestimated the capabilities of indigenous American peoples. The evidence emerging from sites like this one demonstrates that complex social, political, and religious institutions existed in the Americas thousands of years before European contact, challenging outdated assumptions about the development of human civilization. The ethical considerations that guide contemporary archaeological research at sites containing human remains reflect evolved understanding of the responsibilities that researchers bear when studying the physical remains of ancient peoples, with protocols that emphasize respectful treatment of skeletal materials, consultation with descendant communities, and careful attention to the cultural sensitivities surrounding death, burial practices, and religious beliefs that continue to hold significance for contemporary indigenous populations throughout Peru and the broader Andean region. The preservation challenges that face archaeological sites along Peru's coast include not only natural processes of erosion and environmental change but also the increasing pressures of development, tourism, and climate change that threaten to destroy irreplaceable cultural heritage before it can be properly studied and documented. The success of conservation efforts depends upon collaboration between government agencies, academic institutions, local communities, and international organizations committed to protecting archaeological sites while enabling appropriate research access for qualified scientists. The educational value of discoveries like the Cupisnique ceremonial site encompasses both academic contributions to archaeological and anthropological knowledge and public engagement opportunities that enable diverse audiences to appreciate the sophistication and cultural richness of pre-Columbian American civilizations. The careful presentation of research findings helps contemporary communities understand their cultural heritage while challenging stereotypes and misconceptions about indigenous American peoples that persist in popular culture and educational materials as we begin this peaceful exploration of Peru's ancient mysteries. We enter a realm where scientific discovery intersects with profound questions about human nature, spiritual belief, and the complex social structures that enabled early civilizations to create lasting legacies despite the challenges of their environments. The patient work of contemporary archaeologists continues revealing new dimensions of our shared human heritage while demonstrating how much we still have to learn about the remarkable achievements of our ancestors. The gentle Pacific breeze that flows across the La Libertad coastline carries whispers of ancient voices and timeless wisdom, reminding us that every archaeological discovery connects us to the continuous story of human creativity, adaptability, and spiritual seeking that transcends the boundaries of time, culture, and geography. The mysteries buried beneath Peru's coastal sands await patient investigation by future generations of researchers who will build upon current discoveries while developing new techniques for understanding the rich tapestry of human experience that characterizes our species' remarkable journey through time. As the gentle morning mist rises from the fertile valleys of Peru's northern coast, where the Andes Mountains descend gracefully to meet the endless Pacific Ocean, we drift tonight into the remarkable world of the Cupisnique people, an ancient civilization that flourished along these blessed shores from approximately 1500 to 500 BCE, creating sophisticated urban centers, elaborate ceremonial complexes, and artistic masterpieces over 1,000 years before the mighty Inca Empire ever existed. Let your mind float peacefully through the archaeological landscapes of the La Libertad region, where patient researchers continue uncovering evidence of a culture whose mastery of architecture, metallurgy, and spiritual symbolism rivals any civilization of the ancient world, while their mysterious disappearance from historical memory makes them one of Peru's most intriguing forgotten peoples. Close your eyes and feel the warm coastal breeze that once carried the voices of Cupisnique priests conducting ceremonies in massive temple complexes, where communities gathered to honor their gods through elaborate rituals that connected the earthly realm with the cosmic forces that governed their understanding of life, death, and renewal. Picture yourself walking through the bustling settlements that dotted Peru's northern coast 3 millennia ago, where Cupisnique communities established themselves in the rich alluvial valleys between the Vairu River in the south and the Lambaic drainage in the north, creating a cultural region that extended over 400 kilometers of Pacific coastline while maintaining close relationships with highland populations and neighboring coastal peoples. The strategic location of these settlements enabled the Cupisnique people to develop sophisticated economies based on both maritime resources and intensive agriculture, using advanced irrigation techniques to transform arid coastal lands into productive farming areas that could support dense populations and elaborate ceremonial activities. Watch as this remarkable civilization takes shape through the patient work of archaeologists who have revealed the true complexity of Cupisnique society. Beginning with the pioneering research of Raphael Larco Hoyle in 1926, who first identified their distinctive cultural pattern through careful analysis of fine pottery recovered from burial sites in the Cupisnique drainage and adjacent Chicama Valley. The subsequent decades of investigation have revealed that what was once considered merely a coastal variant of the famous Chavin culture was actually an independent and highly sophisticated civilization that provided important sources of inspiration for later Andean cultures while developing unique approaches to urban planning, religious architecture, and artistic expression. The monumental architecture that characterized Cupisnique ceremonial centers demonstrates remarkable engineering capabilities and aesthetic sensibilities, with public constructions built from carefully fitted stone blocks or conical adobes featuring elaborate combinations of low-tiered platforms, impressive colonnades, massive central inset stairways, and sunken rectangular courtyards that could accommodate hundreds of participants during religious festivals and community gatherings. The largest known Cupisnique sites, including Purulan in the Zona drainage and Caballo Morto in the Moche Valley, contain numerous mounds and complex architectural arrangements that suggest organizational patterns very different from those found elsewhere in ancient Peru. The artistic achievements of the Cupisnique people reveal sophisticated understanding of symbolic communication and religious iconography, with their distinctive pottery featuring intricate incised designs, sculptural modeling, and the characteristic stirrup spout bottles that became a hallmark of northern Peruvian ceramic traditions for centuries. These vessels display masterful craftsmanship through their perfectly balanced proportions, smooth burnished surfaces, and reduction firing techniques that produced the dark colors and lustrous finishes that made Cupisnique ceramics highly prized trade items throughout the Andean region. The religious symbolism that permeated Cupisnique art demonstrates deep spiritual sophistication, with recurring motifs of jaguars, serpents, and birds of prey that represented powerful supernatural forces in their cosmological understanding. The massive sculptural heads with threatening features that decorated temple walls at sites like Huaca de los Reyes were designed to be visible from considerable distances, creating dramatic impressions on visitors while communicating the awesome power of the deities honored at these sacred locations. The social organization of Cupisnique communities appears to have been highly stratified, with archaeological evidence revealing significant differences in burial practices, personal ornamentation, and access to exotic trade goods that indicate the presence of distinct social classes and specialized occupational groups. The elaborate grave goods found in elite burials include carved bone rings, shell ornaments, necklaces of semi-precious stones including lapis lazuli from northern Chile, and high-quality anthracite mirrors that demonstrate both technological sophistication and extensive trade relationships with distant regions. The specialized craftspeople who created these remarkable objects possessed advanced knowledge of metallurgy, stone carving, textile production, and ceramic manufacturing that required years of training and access to carefully guarded technical secrets. The distinctive stone mace heads, ceramic stamps or seals, and carved bone tablets recovered from Cupisnique sites suggest the existence of complex systems for marking ownership, recording information, and conducting ritual activities that required specialized knowledge and ceremonial authority. The August 2025 discovery of 14 sacrificial victims near a Cupisnique temple in La Libertad provides unprecedented insights into the religious practices that sustained community cohesion and spiritual identity throughout this ancient civilization. The careful positioning of these individuals, buried face down with hands tied behind their backs in simple pits without accompanying grave goods, demonstrates adherence to specific ritual protocols that differed significantly from the elaborate burial practices reserved for elite members of society. The archaeological context of these sacrificial remains indicates that they were part of carefully planned religious ceremonies conducted according to established traditions that held profound meaning. For Cupisnique communities, the absence of personal ornaments or offerings suggests that these individuals were chosen specifically for their ritual role rather than their social status, reflecting religious beliefs that emphasized the transformative power of sacrifice in maintaining cosmic balance and divine favor. The environmental conditions that enabled Cupisnique civilization to flourish included not only the rich marine resources of the Pacific coast, but also the fertile river valleys that supported intensive agricultural production based on sophisticated irrigation systems and careful resource management. The combination of fishing, shellfish gathering, farming, and long-distance trade created economic foundations strong enough to support the construction of monumental architecture while maintaining the social stability necessary for developing complex religious and artistic traditions. The technological innovations achieved by Cupisnique craftspeople demonstrate remarkable creativity and practical skills, including the development of advanced ceramic firing techniques, sophisticated metalworking capabilities, and the production of perfectly polished mirrors that reflect high-quality images despite being manufactured over 2 millennia ago. These technical achievements required not only individual skill but also organized systems for training apprentices, obtaining raw materials, and distributing finished products throughout their extensive trade networks. The gradual transformation of Cupisnique culture around 500 BCE marked the beginning of a new phase in Andean cultural development. As the region became integrated into the Chavin sphere of interaction, while maintaining distinctive local characteristics that preserved essential elements of their ancient traditions. The eventual replacement of Cupisnique culture by the Salina pattern around 200 BCE represents one of many cultural transitions that characterized the dynamic history of pre-Columbian Peru, where successive civilizations built upon the achievements of their predecessors while developing innovative solutions to environmental and social challenges. The legacy of Cupisnique civilization extends far beyond their direct cultural descendants to encompass fundamental contributions to Andean artistic traditions, religious symbolism, and urban planning principles that influenced subsequent cultures throughout Peru and beyond. Their sophisticated understanding of ceremonial architecture, symbolic communication, and community organization provided models that were adapted and refined by later civilizations, demonstrating the continuing relevance of their cultural innovations across centuries of historical change. As we contemplate the remarkable achievements of the Cupisnique people, we witness early evidence of the human capacity for creating complex societies that balance practical needs with spiritual aspirations while developing artistic expressions that continue inspiring admiration and wonder over 3 millennia after their creation. The patient work of contemporary archaeologists continues revealing new dimensions of their cultural sophistication, while demonstrating how much we still have to learn about these remarkable predecessors who established foundations for some of South America's greatest civilizations. The gentle Pacific breeze that flows across the archaeological sites where Cupisnique communities once flourished carries continuing invitations to appreciate both the material accomplishments and spiritual insights of peoples whose dedication to beauty, meaning, and community created lasting legacies that transcend the boundaries of time and cultural change, reminding us that the human quest for understanding and artistic expression represents a continuous thread connecting all generations across the vast tapestry of our shared heritage. As the soft morning light bathes the ancient ceremonial grounds on Peru's northern coast, where the eternal Pacific breeze carries whispers of forgotten prayers across weathered stone foundations, we drift tonight into the solemn world of a sacred temple that stood at the heart of Cupisnique civilization nearly 3,000 years ago, a place where spirituality, social order, and cosmic beliefs intertwined through majestic architecture and carefully constructed ceremonial spaces that served as bridges between the earthly realm and the divine cosmos. Let your mind float peacefully among the massive adobe and stone structures that once hosted intricate religious ceremonies, where priests and community members gathered in reverent silence to maintain the sacred balance through rituals that connected the terrestrial world with the supernatural forces that governed their understanding of life, death, and renewal. Close your eyes and feel the tranquil presence of ancient stones that have absorbed millennia of prayers, chants, and spiritual devotion, their weathered surfaces bearing witness to the profound human need for connection with powers greater than themselves. Picture yourself walking slowly along the smooth, worn pathways that wind through temple courtyards shaded by the cool coastal breeze, where towering walls rise with intricate bas-reliefs depicting powerful jaguars, serpentine deities, and celestial symbols, sacred icons believed to channel the divine energy of gods and natural forces into the material world. The temple's architecture embodies both functional mastery and spiritual symbolism, designed with remarkable precision to harmonize with astronomical phenomena so that sundials, shadowed chambers, and carefully positioned openings marked crucial times for ritual activities tied to agricultural cycles, lunar phases, and cosmic events that determine the rhythm of community life. The Cupisnique temple complexes discovered along Peru's northern coast represent masterpieces of ancient engineering and sacred geometry, featuring multi-tiered platforms that rise like stepped mountains toward the heavens, sunken plazas designed to gather and focus spiritual energy, and broad stairways that could accommodate hundreds of participants during ceremonial processions and community festivals. Throughout these sacred spaces, the careful orientation reflects sophisticated cosmological understanding, with cardinal directions guiding the precise placement of altars, offering tables, and sacred enclosures that held precious relics and symbols of divine authority passed down through generations of spiritual leaders. Watch as the archaeological evidence reveals the true complexity of these religious centers, where recent excavations have uncovered not only the structural remains of temple walls and ceremonial platforms, but also the profound evidence of human sacrifice that formed an integral part of Cupisnique spiritual practice. The August 2025 discovery of 14 individuals buried near the temple site demonstrates how these sacred spaces served as locations where life itself was offered to maintain cosmic balance and ensure divine favor for the community. The ritual architecture that archaeologist Henri Tantalean and his team have carefully documented shows sophisticated understanding of crowd management, acoustic properties, and visual symbolism that enhanced the psychological impact of religious ceremonies. The positioning of platforms and viewing areas ensured that all participants could witness the sacred activities while maintaining appropriate hierarchical distinctions between priests, nobles, and common worshippers who gathered to observe these solemn proceedings. The construction techniques employed in building these temples demonstrate remarkable engineering capabilities, with massive stone blocks quarried from distant sources and transported to the coastal sites using sophisticated methods that required coordinated community effort and advanced knowledge of physics and construction principles. The precise fitting of stones without mortar, the careful drainage systems that prevented water damage, and the integration of decorative elements with structural necessities reflect the work of master builders who understood both practical engineering and spiritual symbolism. The sacred enclosures where the recent skeletal discoveries were made represent specific areas within the temple complex designed for the most solemn religious activities, including the human sacrifices that Cupisnique communities believed necessary for maintaining their relationship with supernatural powers. The simple pits where the 14 individuals were interred, buried face down with hands tied behind their backs, indicate adherence to precise ritual protocols that had been developed over generations of religious practice. The temple's role as a center of astronomical observation demonstrates how Cupisnique spiritual leaders integrated their religious activities with careful study of celestial movements, using the positions of stars, planets, and seasonal changes to determine appropriate times for planting, harvesting, and conducting major ceremonies. The alignment of temple structures with solar and lunar phenomena enabled priests to maintain calendrical systems that coordinated agricultural activities with religious observances. The acoustic properties of temple courtyards and ceremonial chambers were carefully designed to amplify the voices of chanters and musicians, creating sound environments that enhance the psychological impact of religious ceremonies while enabling large crowds to participate effectively in communal prayers and responses. The reverberation patterns and echo effects transformed human voices into something approaching the supernatural, reinforcing beliefs about the divine presence during religious activities. The decorative programs that adorned temple walls and platforms communicated complex theological concepts through visual symbolism that could be understood by both literate priests and illiterate community members. Using recurring motifs of jaguars representing earthly power, serpents symbolizing water and renewal, and birds embodying connections between earth and sky. These artistic elements served educational functions while creating emotionally powerful environments that reinforced religious beliefs and social hierarchies. The spatial organization of temple complexes reflects sophisticated understanding of human psychology and group dynamics, with processional routes that guided participants through carefully planned sequences of architectural experiences designed to build emotional intensity, leading to climactic moments in central ceremonial areas. The gradual elevation changes, narrowing and widening passages, and strategic placement of decorative elements created journeys that transformed ordinary human experience into encounters with the sacred. The integration of temple architecture with natural landscape features demonstrates Cupisnique understanding of environmental harmony, with structures positioned to take advantage of prevailing winds, seasonal water flows, and geological stability while maintaining visual relationships with mountains, ocean, and river valleys that held spiritual significance. The temples served as focal points that organized human settlement patterns around sacred geography. The maintenance and renovation activities that have been documented through archaeological investigation reveal how temple complexes evolved over generations, with successive building phases that expanded capacity, updated decorative programs, and adapted architectural forms to changing religious practices while maintaining essential spiritual functions that connected communities to their cosmic understanding. The social functions served by temple architecture extended beyond purely religious activities to encompass community gatherings, educational programs, and administrative activities that reinforced the authority of religious elites while providing venues for collective decision-making and cultural transmission. The temples served as libraries of sacred knowledge preserved through oral traditions, ritual performances, and symbolic representations. The discovery context of the August 2025 skeletal remains provides crucial insights into how temple spaces were used for the most serious religious activities. where human sacrifice was conducted according to established protocols that ensured proper spiritual efficacy while maintaining community support for these solemn practices. The positioning of burial sites relative to major architectural features reveals the careful planning that characterized these sacred ceremonies. As we contemplate the enduring majesty of Cupisnique temple architecture, we recognize the profound human desire to express spirituality through monumental construction that transcends individual lifespans to create lasting connections between communities and their understanding of divine reality. The careful craftsmanship, astronomical alignments, and symbolic complexity remind us that ancient peoples shared with contemporary humans a deep yearning to create sacred spaces that facilitate encounters with forces beyond the visible material world. The gentle coastal breeze that flows through the ruins of these ancient temples continues carrying echoes of prayers, chants, and ceremonial music that once filled these sacred spaces with spiritual energy, reminding us that some human needs for meaning, connection, and transcendence remain constant across cultures and centuries, finding expression through architecture that serves as permanent testimony to the eternal human quest for understanding our place within the cosmic order. As the soft coastal breeze flows across the peaceful archaeological sites of Peru's northern La Libertad region, where the rich sands meet the vast Pacific Ocean, we drift tonight into the fascinating world of early 20th century discoveries that began unraveling the mysteries of the Cupisnique culture and its solemn ritual practices. Let your mind wander gently through the quiet excavation trenches of the 1930s to 1960s, where pioneering archaeologists slowly and patiently uncovered clues that transformed ancient legends into tangible historical truths, a necessary foundation that would prepare the way for modern discoveries of the 3,000-year-old human sacrifices that captured the world's attention in August 2025. Close your eyes and feel the warm desert wind that carries whispers of ancient ceremonies while dedicated researchers carefully brush sand from pottery fragments and stone foundations, their methodical work revealing the sophisticated civilization that once flourished along these blessed shores. Picture yourself alongside early archaeologists like Raphael Larco Hoyle, whose tireless work beginning in 1926 first revealed the artistic distinctiveness and cultural significance of the Cupisnique civilization buried beneath Peru's northern sands. His groundbreaking discoveries in the Cupisnique quebrada, including exquisitely crafted ceramics and black stirrup spout vessels with distinctive feline motifs, informed the first clear understanding that Cupisnique was more than a minor cultural offshoot but an influential, sophisticated people whose legacy shaped subsequent Andean traditions for over a millennium before the rise of the mighty Inca Empire. Watch as the archaeological landscape slowly takes form during the 1950s and 1960s when expanded excavations in areas such as Caballo Morto in the Moche Valley, Purulan in the Zona drainage, and Limancaro in the Guadalupe district revealed the architectural prowess of the Cupisnique people. These sites showcased towering platforms, sunken plazas, and complex adobe constructions indicating a society capable of organizing large-scale ceremonial and civic projects that required sophisticated engineering knowledge and coordinated community effort. The early investigations uncovered breathtaking wall murals, symbolic motifs of jaguars and serpents, and distinctive black ceramics that directly connected Cupisnique cultural practices with broader Andean artistic and religious trends. The skeletal remains discovered in 2025 by archaeologist Henri Tantalean's team find their earliest archaeological context among these mid-century explorations that documented the Cupisnique's unique mortuary practices. Researchers during this formative period unearthed tombs that contrasted sharply with the sacrificial burials found at the ritual temple site near the beach in La Libertad region. While many traditional Cupisnique burials featured opulent grave goods, carved bone rings, shell ornaments, necklaces of semi-precious stones, and rare anthracite mirrors that reflected high-quality images, the human sacrifices were buried simply in sand mounds without any accompanying offerings or treasures, reflecting different aspects of religious life and community hierarchy. The early archaeologists' detailed pottery typologies and architectural records laid the crucial groundwork for interpreting the complex ritual landscape where human sacrifice played a critical role in maintaining cosmic balance and social order. The evolving understanding of Cupisnique cosmology, spirituality, and hierarchy drew heavily from their systematic work, highlighting evidence for dualistic symbols, supernatural deities including the spider deity associated with rainfall and warfare, and ritualized violence embedded in the artifacts and structural ruins they uncovered with such patient dedication. Watch as the faint outlines of ancient ceremonial structures emerge from the shifting sands through the photographs, sketches, and detailed notes carefully preserved from this early period of discovery. These invaluable records reveal not only physical remains but also provide crucial insights into the religious worldview of a culture that preceded the Inca by over a millennium, establishing temple complexes with sophisticated astronomical alignments and ceremonial spaces designed for large community gatherings and solemn religious observances. As the soft coastal breeze flows across the peaceful archaeological sites of Peru's northern La Libertad region, where the rich sands meet the vast Pacific Ocean, we drift tonight into the fascinating world of early 20th century discoveries that began unraveling the mysteries of the Cupisnique culture and its solemn ritual practices. Let your mind wander gently through the quiet excavation trenches of the 1930s to 1960s, where pioneering archaeologists slowly and patiently uncovered clues that transformed ancient legends into tangible historical truths, a necessary foundation that would prepare the way for modern discoveries of the 3,000-year-old human sacrifices that captured the world's attention in August 2025. Close your eyes and feel the warm desert wind that carries whispers of ancient ceremonies while dedicated researchers carefully brush sand from pottery fragments and stone foundations, their methodical work revealing the sophisticated civilization that once flourished along these blessed shores. Picture yourself alongside early archaeologists like Raphael Larco Hoyle, whose tireless work beginning in 1926 first revealed the artistic distinctiveness and cultural significance of the Cupisnique civilization buried beneath Peru's northern sands. His groundbreaking discoveries in the Cupisnique Quebrada, including exquisitely crafted ceramics and black stirrup spout vessels with distinctive feline motifs, informed the first clear understanding that Cupisnique was more than a minor cultural offshoot but an influential, sophisticated people whose legacy shaped subsequent Andean traditions for over a millennium before the rise of the mighty Inca Empire. Watch as the archaeological landscape slowly takes form during the 1950s and 1960s when expanded excavations in areas such as Caballo Morto in the Moche Valley, Purulan in the Zona drainage, and Limancaro in the Guadalupe district revealed the architectural prowess of the Cupisnique people. These sites showcased towering platforms, sunken plazas, and complex adobe constructions indicating a society capable of organizing large-scale ceremonial and civic projects that required sophisticated engineering knowledge and coordinated community effort. The early investigations uncovered breathtaking wall murals, symbolic motifs of jaguars and serpents, and distinctive black ceramics that directly connected Cupisnique cultural practices with broader Andean artistic and religious trends. The skeletal remains discovered in 2025 by archaeologist Henri Tantalean's team find their earliest archaeological context among these mid-century explorations that documented the Cupisnique's unique mortuary practices. Researchers during this formative period unearthed tombs that contrasted sharply with the sacrificial burials found at the ritual temple site near the beach in La Libertad region. While many traditional Cupisnique burials featured opulent grave goods, carved bone rings, shell ornaments, necklaces of semi-precious stones, and rare anthracite mirrors that reflected high-quality images, the human sacrifices were buried simply in sand mounds without any accompanying offerings or treasures, reflecting different aspects of religious life and community hierarchy. The early archaeologists' detailed pottery typologies and architectural records laid the crucial groundwork for interpreting the complex ritual landscape where human sacrifice played a critical role in maintaining cosmic balance and social order. The evolving understanding of Cupisnique cosmology, spirituality, and hierarchy drew heavily from their systematic work, highlighting evidence for dualistic symbols, supernatural deities including the spider deity associated with rainfall and warfare, and ritualized violence embedded in the artifacts and structural ruins they uncovered with such patient dedication. Watch as the faint outlines of ancient ceremonial structures emerge from the shifting sands through the photographs, sketches, and detailed notes carefully preserved from this early period of discovery. These invaluable records reveal not only physical remains but also provide crucial insights into the religious worldview of a culture that preceded the Inca by over a millennium, establishing temple complexes with sophisticated astronomical alignments and ceremonial spaces designed for large community gatherings and solemn religious observances. The discovery of shared iconography between Cupisnique and later Chavin culture during this period helped establish important connections between coastal and highland civilizations, revealing how cultural influence flowed across Peru's diverse geographical regions. The spider deity temple discovered in 2008 at Calad in the Lambaic Valley, built adjacent to the earlier Ventaran site, demonstrated remarkable continuity in religious symbolism that persevered for thousands of years across multiple cultural transitions. Despite the limited technology of the time, The 1930s to 1960s archaeological efforts reflect remarkable dedication, combining careful excavation methods with growing theoretical sophistication that would influence Andean archaeology for decades to come. The patient work of researchers like Larco Hoyle set foundational standards for respectful investigation, ensuring that Cupisnique culture received scholarly attention long after many other early civilizations had been overshadowed by more famous archaeological discoveries like Machu Picchu and the Nazca Lines. The early archaeological investigations of the Cupisnique culture not only uncovered material remains, but also helped establish an intellectual framework for understanding the spiritual and societal complexity of these ancient peoples. Researchers meticulously catalogued the variety of ceramics found, differentiating styles that later revealed the sophisticated interaction between coastal and highland cultures, while their architectural studies highlighted the culture's masterful use of adobe and stone masonry that pointed to ceremonial architecture prefiguring much larger Andean stone complexes seen in later civilizations. Together with ceramic analysis, these early discoveries proved that the spiritual practices reflected in the archaeological record were deeply integrated into community life, creating rituals that affirmed social cohesion and cosmic order through carefully planned ceremonies conducted according to established religious protocols. Importantly, these foundational studies set the stage for understanding human sacrifice not as sporadic violence, but as a structurally embedded ritual practice that served purposes far beyond the physical act, emphasizing the unique role these ceremonies played in maintaining spiritual power and societal balance. The respectful, often painstaking excavation protocols developed during this foundational period continue to inspire archaeologists today as they apply more advanced technologies while honoring the original researchers' dedication to careful, ethical fieldwork that respects both scientific methodology and the cultural heritage of descendant communities. The methodical documentation standards established during these early decades created permanent archives that enable contemporary researchers to build upon previous discoveries while developing new interpretive frameworks. While these early findings were largely academic and methodical, they laid the crucial groundwork for the world to appreciate the deep historical roots of Peru's remarkable cultural heritage. This heritage, lovingly pieced together over decades of patient investigation, now serves as a silent testament to a civilization that mastered the delicate balance between the spiritual and the earthly realms, creating lasting monuments to human creativity and religious devotion. The mid-20th century discoveries remind us of the importance of long-term scholarly commitment when uncovering the layers of human history buried beneath the sands. They teach us that each fragment of pottery, every architectural remnant, and all documented mortuary practices contribute essential pieces to the complex puzzle that modern archaeology and anthropology continue to piece together today, revealing new dimensions of ancient achievement with each careful investigation. The gentle sound of waves that overlooks these ancient sites echoes the slow, deliberate uncovering of human history, a process that requires patience, humility, and deep respect for the cultures that came before us. The foundations for our understanding of the 3,000-year-old sacrifices discovered in August 2025 were laid in this era of methodical study and scholarly curiosity, making it possible for the startling revelations of today's research to be appreciated within a deep and rich context of cultural continuity and transformation that spans millennia. Tonight, as we reflect on these early glimpses of ancient Peru, we are reminded that the pursuit of knowledge, whether through the quiet patience of brush and trowel or the sharp precision of digital sensors, connects us across thousands of years to the quiet mysteries resting beneath desert sands and ocean waves. The patient work of those early archaeologists echoes timeless lessons for us today, that understanding requires humility, that revelation comes slowly through careful observation, and that some of the great. As the warm August sun cast its gentle rays across the peaceful archaeological site in Peru's La Libertad region, where the eternal Pacific breeze carries the salt-scented whispers of ancient secrets, we journey tonight into the remarkable moment when archaeologist Henri Tantalean and his dedicated research team made one of 2025's most significant archaeological discoveries. 14 human skeletal remains that had waited patiently for 3 millennia beneath the coastal sands to tell their story of ritual sacrifice and spiritual devotion. Let your mind drift peacefully through the methodical excavation process that unfolded during those historic August days, where careful brushwork and patient documentation revealed evidence that would forever change our understanding of Cupisnique religious practices, while demonstrating how modern archaeological techniques can unlock secrets that connect us directly to the profound spiritual beliefs of Peru's ancient peoples. Close your eyes and feel the quiet excitement of scientific discovery as trained hands carefully expose bones and artifacts that bridge the vast gap between contemporary scholarship and the sacred ceremonies that once bound communities together through their shared understanding of cosmic balance and divine will. Picture yourself standing beside Henri Tantalean as he guides his research team through the systematic excavation procedures that characterize contemporary archaeological investigation. Their precise movements reflecting decades of training in the delicate art of extracting information from ancient deposits without destroying the fragile evidence that makes each discovery scientifically valuable. The August heat shimmers gently above the excavation site, located approximately 675 kilometers north of Lima near the ancient ceremonial complex where Cupisnique priests once conducted their most solemn religious ceremonies, while the patient work of documentation proceeds according to internationally recognized standards that ensure every fragment of bone, every grain of sand, and every subtle change in soil coloration receives appropriate attention and careful recording. The excitement of discovery began to build as the team's systematic excavation revealed the first indications of deliberately buried human remains positioned in patterns that immediately suggested ritualistic rather than casual interment, with a distinctive face-down orientation and bound hands that indicated adherence to specific ceremonial protocols passed down through generations of Cupisnique spiritual leaders. The careful positioning of these individuals within simple pits excavated near the ancient temple complex provided immediate confirmation that these were not victims of violence or disease, but participants in carefully planned religious ceremonies designed to maintain the cosmic balance that Cupisnique communities believed essential for their survival and prosperity. Watch as the archaeological investigation unfolds through the patient application of modern scientific techniques that enable researchers to extract unprecedented amounts of information from skeletal remains that have been preserved by Peru's unique coastal environment for over 3,000 years. The team's careful documentation includes detailed photography from multiple angles, precise measurement of bone positioning, soil sampling for later laboratory analysis, and the systematic collection of any associated artifacts or environmental materials that might provide additional insights into the circumstances surrounding these ancient burials. The revelation that emerged through careful analysis of the skeletal evidence painted a detailed picture of the final moments in the lives of 14 individuals whose deaths served purposes far more complex than simple execution or punishment, reflecting instead the sophisticated theological understanding that characterized Cupisnique religious practice. The absence of defensive wounds or signs of struggle suggested that these individuals had participated willingly or at least passively in ceremonies that transformed their deaths into sacred offerings designed to ensure divine favor and community welfare, according to beliefs that integrated individual sacrifice with collective spiritual needs. The forensic analysis conducted on the recovered remains revealed important information about the health, diet, and social status of the sacrificed individuals, with bone chemistry studies indicating that they had consumed predominantly marine-based diets supplemented by agricultural products characteristic of coastal Peruvian communities during the first millennium BCE. The evidence of adequate nutrition and healthcare suggested that these individuals had been well cared for members of their communities rather than prisoners or social outcasts, reinforcing interpretations that emphasize the religious rather than punitive nature of their deaths. The positioning of the burial sites relative to the temple complex provided crucial insights into the spatial organization of Cupisnique religious ceremonies, with the deliberate placement of sacrificial victims in specific locations that aligned with architectural features and astronomical orientations that govern the timing and conduct of major spiritual observances. The proximity to ceremonial platforms and sacred enclosures indicated that these deaths occurred within carefully defined ritual spaces that had been consecrated for communication with supernatural powers. The interdisciplinary approach that characterizes contemporary archaeological investigation enabled Tantalean's team to coordinate their excavation work with specialists in osteology, soil chemistry, environmental reconstruction, and cultural anthropology who could contribute different perspectives to the interpretation of these remarkable discoveries. The integration of multiple analytical techniques ensures that the significance of these finds extends beyond simple documentation to encompass broader understanding of Cupisnique society, religious practice, and cultural development. The careful attention to cultural sensitivity that guided the 2025 excavation reflects evolved understanding of the ethical responsibilities that contemporary archaeologists bear when investigating sites that contain human remains and hold continuing spiritual significance for descendant communities. The team's protocols emphasized respectful treatment of the skeletal materials while maintaining the scientific rigor necessary for extracting historically valuable information that contributes to broader human understanding of ancient civilizations and religious practices. The international recognition that the discovery received demonstrated the global significance of these findings for understanding the development of complex societies in pre-Columbian America, with scholars from multiple countries contributing to the analysis and interpretation of evidence that illuminates previously unknown aspects of Cupisnique culture while providing comparative data for understanding ritual sacrifice in other ancient civilizations throughout the world. The preservation challenges that faced the research team included not only the technical difficulties of excavating fragile skeletal remains in challenging coastal environments, but also the need to protect the site from potential damage caused by environmental factors, unauthorized access, and the increasing pressures of development that threaten archaeological sites throughout Peru. The successful completion of the excavation required careful coordination with local authorities and community leaders who supported the research while ensuring appropriate protection for the discovered materials. The documentation standards employed during the investigation created permanent archives that will enable future researchers to continue studying these discoveries using analytical techniques that have not yet been developed, while the careful preservation of both skeletal remains and associated materials ensures that this invaluable evidence will remain available for scientific investigation long into the future. The digital mapping and photographic records provide detailed information about the excavation context that enhances the interpretive value of the discoveries. The educational impact of the August 2025 discovery extends beyond academic circles to encompass public engagement opportunities that help contemporary audiences appreciate the sophistication and cultural complexity of pre-Columbian American civilizations while understanding how archaeological investigation contributes to broader human knowledge about our shared heritage. The careful presentation of research findings helps challenge misconceptions about indigenous American peoples while demonstrating the continuing relevance of ancient wisdom for contemporary communities. The broader implications of Tantalean's discovery include not only contributions to Cupisnique studies, but also insights into the role of ritual sacrifice in maintaining social cohesion and spiritual identity among ancient peoples throughout the Andean region and beyond. The evidence of carefully planned ceremonies conducted according to established protocols provides important comparative data for understanding how different cultures have used ritualized death to address spiritual needs and social challenges across human history as we contemplate the remarkable August 2025 discovery that brought international attention to the sophisticated religious practices of the Cupisnique people. We witness the continuing power of archaeological investigation to connect contemporary communities with the achievements and beliefs of ancient peoples who faced many of the same fundamental questions about meaning, mortality, and spiritual purpose that continue challenging humans today. The patient work of Henri Tantalean and his dedicated team demonstrates how modern scientific techniques can serve as bridges across time, enabling us to appreciate both the material accomplishments and spiritual insights of civilizations, whose legacy enriches our understanding of human potential and cultural achievement. As the gentle evening mist rises from the sacred shores of Peru's northern coast, where the eternal rhythm of Pacific waves has witnessed countless ceremonies across 3 millennia of human devotion, we drift tonight into the profound spiritual world that guided the Cupisnique people's understanding of ritual sacrifice, not as acts of violence or cruelty, but as carefully planned religious ceremonies that maintained cosmic balance and ensured divine favor for their communities through the willing transformation of human life into sacred offerings. Let your mind float peacefully through the complex theological landscape that shaped these ancient beliefs, where death became rebirth, individual sacrifice served collective welfare, and the boundary between earthly existence and spiritual transcendence dissolved through ceremonial acts that connected mortal communities with the immortal forces governing their universe. Close your eyes and feel the reverent atmosphere of ancient temples where priests and participants understood sacrifice as the highest form of spiritual service, transforming personal mortality into communal blessing through rituals that honored both human dignity and divine authority in their quest for harmony between heaven and earth. Picture yourself in the quiet moments before a Cupisnique ceremony, where community members gathered in solemn reverence to witness sacred transformations that would ensure rainfall for their crops, protection from enemies, and continued favor from the supernatural powers that governed their daily lives. The individuals chosen for sacrifice approached their destiny with spiritual preparation that emphasized their crucial role in maintaining the delicate balance between human needs and cosmic forces, understanding that their deaths would serve purposes far greater than individual survival while contributing to the eternal cycle of renewal that sustained all life. The theological framework that guided Cupisnique ritual practice reflected sophisticated understanding of reciprocity between human communities and divine powers, where material offerings alone proved insufficient for addressing the most serious spiritual needs that threatened community survival during times of crisis, drought, or conflict. The concept of Ini, the Andean principle of balanced exchange that continues influencing indigenous communities today, required that the most precious gifts be offered to secure the most essential divine assistance, making human life the ultimate expression of devotional sincerity and community commitment. Watch as the complex spiritual logic that justified human sacrifice unfolds through archaeological evidence and comparative analysis of Andean religious traditions, revealing how these ceremonies served multiple functions that integrated individual devotion with collective welfare through carefully orchestrated events that strengthened social bonds while addressing supernatural requirements for maintaining cosmic order. The face-down burial position and bound hands discovered in the August 2025 excavation reflect specific ritual protocols designed to ensure proper spiritual transformation while demonstrating community adherence to established religious traditions. The cosmological beliefs that shaped Cupisnique understanding of life and death emphasized cyclical renewal rather than linear progression, with human existence understood as temporary manifestation of eternal spiritual energy that returned to its divine sources through ceremonial death that enabled regeneration and continued blessing for surviving community members. The sacrifice ceremonies served as controlled transitions that channeled individual life force into collective spiritual resources while maintaining proper relationships with supernatural beings who controlled rainfall, fertility, and protection from natural disasters. The selection processes that determined which individuals would serve as sacrificial offerings reflected complex considerations of spiritual fitness, social status, and divine guidance that ensured these ceremonies honored both human dignity and religious requirements through careful evaluation of candidates' physical health, moral character, and willingness to participate in sacred transformations. The evidence of adequate nutrition and health care among the sacrificed individuals suggests that communities invested considerable resources in preparing these chosen participants for their sacred roles. The ritual preparations that preceded sacrifice ceremonies included purification rites, spiritual instruction, and community recognition that elevated participants to sacred status while ensuring their understanding of the profound significance their deaths would hold for collective welfare. These preparatory activities transformed individual mortality into communal blessing through processes that honored both personal sacrifice and divine authority while maintaining social cohesion around shared spiritual beliefs and practices. The ceremonial protocols that governed the actual conduct of human sacrifice reflected generations of accumulated wisdom about proper procedures for ensuring spiritual efficacy while maintaining community support for these solemn religious observances. The positioning of victims, the methods of restraint, and the location of burial sites all followed established patterns that connected specific ceremonies to broader theological understanding of how human death could serve divine purposes. The seasonal timing of sacrifice ceremonies aligned with agricultural cycles, astronomical phenomena, and community needs that required supernatural intervention for successful resolution, demonstrating how Cupisnique religious practice integrated spiritual activities with practical concerns about survival and prosperity in challenging coastal environments. The ceremonies served as spiritual insurance policies that addressed uncertainties beyond human control through divine assistance secured by ultimate offerings. The social functions served by ritual sacrifice extended beyond purely religious purposes to encompass community integration, hierarchical affirmation, and cultural transmission that strengthened collective identity while providing mechanisms for addressing internal conflicts and external threats through shared participation in sacred activities. The ceremonies created opportunities for demonstrating loyalty, courage, and spiritual commitment that reinforced social bonds and cultural values. The psychological dimensions of sacrifice ceremonies included cathartic release of community anxieties, affirmation of spiritual beliefs under stress, and collective processing of mortality fears through controlled confrontation with death that transformed individual terror into shared transcendence. The rituals provided frameworks for understanding suffering and loss while maintaining hope for divine intervention and community survival. The artistic representations of sacrifice themes in Cupisnique ceramics and architectural decoration suggest that these ceremonies held central importance in cultural imagination, with symbolic depictions of ritual death serving educational and inspirational purposes that transmitted religious knowledge across generations while reinforcing theological understanding through visual communication. The recurring motifs of bound figures and ceremonial scenes indicate widespread acceptance of sacrifice practices. The comparison with contemporary Andean cultures reveals continuing threads of reciprocal thinking about relationships between human communities and supernatural powers, with modern offerings of coca leaves, chicha beer, and animal sacrifices reflecting evolved versions of ancient principles that recognize divine authority while seeking practical assistance for community welfare. The persistence of Aini concepts demonstrates cultural continuity across millennia of historical change. The archaeological evidence from other Cupisnique sites suggests that human sacrifice represented one element within broader ritual repertoires that included animal offerings, material gifts, and ceremonial feasting designed to maintain proper relationships with divine powers through diverse expressions of devotional commitment. The integration of different sacrifice types indicates sophisticated theological thinking about appropriate offerings for different spiritual needs and circumstances. The regional variations in sacrifice practices among different Cupisnique communities reflect local adaptations of shared religious concepts to specific environmental conditions and cultural traditions, demonstrating how core theological principles could accommodate diverse expressions while maintaining essential spiritual functions. The flexibility of ritual forms enabled widespread adoption while preserving central meanings. As we contemplate the profound spiritual beliefs that guided Cupisnique sacrifice ceremonies, we witness human communities grappling with eternal questions about mortality, meaning, and divine purpose that continue challenging contemporary societies despite vast changes in technology, knowledge, and cultural organization. The archaeological evidence of these ancient practices provides insights into alternative approaches to understanding relationships between individual existence and collective welfare that may offer valuable perspectives for modern communities seeking balance between personal fulfillment and social responsibility. The gentle Pacific breeze that flows across the sites where these ceremonies once took place carries continuing invitations to appreciate both the spiritual sophistication and cultural complexity of peoples whose dedication to community welfare led them to develop religious practices that integrated individual sacrifice with collective blessing through ceremonies that honored both human dignity and divine authority in their eternal quest for harmony between earthly needs and cosmic order. As the gentle morning sun rises over the ancient valleys and coastal landscapes of Peru's northern shore, where the eternal rhythm of Pacific waves has witnessed countless generations of human endeavor, we drift tonight into the vibrant world of Cupisnique society, a sophisticated civilization that cultivated not just sacred temples and solemn rituals, but also complex social hierarchies and community bonds that fostered cultural continuity for over a millennium along these blessed coasts. Let your mind wander peacefully through the dusty pathways of bustling settlements, where farmers, artisans, priests, and nobles each wove their individual threads into the rich tapestry of this remarkable civilization, whose legacy still echoes in the weathered stones and shifting sands beneath Peru's timeless coastal landscape. Close your eyes and feel the warm morning breeze that once carried the voices of craftsmen at their work, children at their play, and elders sharing wisdom while communities flourished through careful balance of individual purpose and collective welfare. Picture yourself observing a thriving Cupisnique village during its golden age, where skilled craftsmen shape exquisite ceramics decorated with intricate symbolic motifs that tell stories of supernatural beings and cosmic harmony, while nearby, farmers tend to their abundant fields irrigated by sophisticated ancient technologies that transform arid coastal valleys into productive agricultural landscapes. The society was carefully organized through distinct social strata, each group possessing specific roles and responsibilities that contributed to the overall welfare and spiritual vitality of the civilization, creating a harmonious whole where individual talents served collective prosperity and cultural achievement. The archaeological evidence that has emerged from decades of careful investigation reveals fascinating details about these social divisions, from richly adorned elite burials, containing exquisite jewelry, polished anthracite mirrors, and precious ornaments imported from distant regions to simpler interments reflecting the everyday lives of commoners who formed the productive foundation of Cupisnique communities. Elite individuals, including high priests, community leaders, and skilled artisans, were interred with elaborate grave goods that symbolized their elevated status and spiritual authority, while public rituals and ceremonies reinforced their crucial roles in maintaining divine balance and social order. Watch as the complex iconography found on Cupisnique pottery and temple reliefs reveals sophisticated systems of symbolic communication that served multiple functions simultaneously, depicting supernatural beings such as powerful jaguars, mystical spiders, and celestial birds that connected earthly communities to cosmic forces while legitimizing the authority of religious and political elites. These artistic images conveyed spiritual truths and social hierarchies through visual storytelling that taught community members about the divine order that sustained their civilization, creating shared understanding across different social classes and occupational groups. The economic foundation supporting this social complexity ingeniously combined innovative agricultural techniques, abundant coastal resources, and extensive trade networks that connected Cupisnique communities to cultural developments throughout the broader Andean world. Farmers harnessed the fertile soils of river valleys through carefully constructed irrigation systems that enabled stable food production, supporting population growth and the social specialization that allowed some individuals to dedicate themselves entirely to religious service, artistic creation, and administrative responsibilities essential for maintaining complex urban centers. The artisan classes who created the distinctive black ceramics, sophisticated metallurgy, and elaborate textiles that characterized Cupisnique material culture possessed highly developed technical skills that required years of training and access to specialized knowledge passed down through generations of master craftspeople. These skilled workers produced goods both for local consumption and for exchange with distant communities, fostering cultural interactions and economic relationships that extended Cupisnique influence across vast geographical regions while bringing exotic materials and foreign ideas into their coastal settlements. The spiritual dimension of community life permeated all aspects of social organization, with public ceremonies held in monumental temples serving as focal points for collective identity while reinforcing the hierarchical structures that governed daily life. The recent discovery of ritual sacrifices by Henri Tantalean's team provides concrete evidence of how these ceremonies served both religious and social functions, affirming communal beliefs while demonstrating the ruling class's authority to mediate between earthly communities and supernatural powers that controlled rainfall, fertility, and protection from natural disasters. The contrast between the elaborate elite burials found throughout Cupisnique territory and the simple pits containing the 14 sacrificial victims discovered in August 2025 illustrates the complex relationship between social status and spiritual service that characterized this ancient society. While wealthy individuals were honored in death through expensive grave goods and elaborate funeral ceremonies, the sacrificed individuals served different spiritual purposes that transcended personal status to address collective needs for divine intervention and cosmic balance. The governance systems that maintained order and coordination across dispersed Cupisnique settlements combined religious authority with practical administrative functions, creating leadership structures that drew legitimacy from sacred traditions while addressing the mundane challenges of resource management, conflict resolution, and community defense. The fusion of spiritual and temporal authority enabled Cupisnique leaders to maintain social cohesion across multiple generations while adapting their communities to changing environmental conditions and external pressures. The educational traditions that preserved and transmitted Cupisnique cultural knowledge operated through apprenticeship systems that ensured essential skills and sacred wisdom passed from master to student across successive generations, maintaining technological capabilities and religious understanding that sustained community life. The sophisticated symbolism found in their artistic productions suggests the existence of specialized schools or training centers where individuals learn to read and create the complex iconographic programs that decorated temples, ceramics, and religious objects. The gender roles and family structures that organized Cupisnique social life appear to have provided important positions for both men and women, with archaeological evidence suggesting that some women held significant religious authority and economic power within their communities. The discovery of the Lady of Pacapampa, a sophisticated woman buried with gold earrings and elaborate grave goods, demonstrates that female leadership was recognized and honored within Cupisnique social hierarchies, though the specific nature of women's roles in ritual sacrifice remains unclear from current archaeological evidence. The residential patterns that characterized Cupisnique settlements reveal carefully planned communities where different social classes lived in proximity while maintaining distinct housing styles that reflected their economic status and social functions. Elite residences featured more sophisticated construction techniques and larger spaces for hosting social gatherings, while common households were smaller but incorporated the same basic architectural principles that emphasized durability and protection from coastal environmental challenges. The cultural exchanges that connected Cupisnique communities to neighboring civilizations demonstrate the cosmopolitan nature of their society, where foreign ideas, artistic styles, and technological innovations were selectively adopted and adapted to local conditions and preferences. The presence of trade goods from highland regions, distant coastal areas, and even more remote locations indicates that Cupisnique merchants and travelers maintained extensive networks of communication and commerce that enriched their community's cultural development. The environmental management practices that enabled Cupisnique communities to thrive in challenging coastal conditions required sophisticated understanding of local ecological conditions and careful coordination of collective efforts to maintain irrigation systems, manage marine resources, and protect settlements from natural disasters. The success of their agricultural techniques and coastal fishing operations provided the economic surplus necessary for supporting non-productive social classes while financing the construction of monumental architecture and elaborate ceremonies. The artistic achievements that distinguish Cupisnique civilization reflect not only individual creativity and technical skill, but also sophisticated systems of patronage and cultural support that enabled talented craftspeople to dedicate themselves to producing works of enduring beauty and spiritual significance. The standardization of certain artistic motifs and technical procedures suggests the existence of organized workshops or guilds that maintained quality standards while allowing for individual expression within established traditional frameworks. As we contemplate the remarkable social complexity achieved by Cupisnique civilization over 3,000 years ago, we witness testimony to the human capacity for creating sustainable communities that balanced individual fulfillment with collective welfare while maintaining spiritual connections to cosmic forces that transcended immediate material concerns. Their achievements in social organization, artistic expression, and cultural integration continue inspiring contemporary communities seeking models for harmonious coexistence and meaningful community life. The gentle Pacific breeze that flows across the archaeological sites where Cupisnique communities once flourished carries continuing invitations to appreciate the sophisticated social systems and cultural achievements of peoples whose dedication to beauty, order, and spiritual meaning created lasting legacies that enrich our understanding of human potential and community development across the vast expanse of historical time. As the gentle evening breeze flows across the archaeological site in Peru's La Libertad region, where Henri Tantalean and his dedicated research team work with quiet reverence among the ancient remains that have waited 3 millennia to share their stories, we journey tonight into the delicate intersection between scientific discovery and ethical responsibility that characterizes contemporary archaeological practice. Let your mind drift peacefully through the careful protocols and respectful methodologies that guide modern researchers as they uncover the sacred truths preserved in burial sites, temple foundations, and ceremonial spaces, where every brushstroke and documentation procedure reflects deep appreciation for the human dignity of ancient peoples whose lives continue speaking across the vast expanse of time. Close your eyes and feel the profound respect that permeates archaeological sites where the past meets the present through scholarly investigation that honors both scientific accuracy and cultural sensitivity, creating bridges between contemporary understanding and ancestral wisdom that transcends the boundaries of epoch and civilization. Picture yourself observing the meticulous documentation process that unfolds at the Cupisnique sacrifice site, where each of the 14 skeletal remains receives individual attention and careful recording that ensures their stories will be preserved for future generations of researchers and community members who seek to understand the spiritual beliefs and cultural practices that shaped ancient Peruvian civilization. The August 2025 excavation represents the culmination of decades of methodological development that has transformed archaeology from treasure hunting into rigorous scientific discipline guided by principles of respect, accuracy, and collaborative engagement with descendant communities whose heritage connects directly to these ancient discoveries. The ethical frameworks that govern contemporary archaeological investigation at sites containing human remains reflect evolved understanding of the responsibilities that researchers bear when studying the physical evidence of past lives, with protocols that emphasize dignified treatment of skeletal materials, consultation with local communities, and careful attention to the cultural sensitivities surrounding death, burial practices, and religious beliefs. Henri Tantalean's team approached their work at the La Libertad site with profound awareness that they were not merely examining archaeological specimens but engaging with the remnants of individuals who had participated in sacred ceremonies that held deep meaning for their communities. Watch as the systematic excavation procedures unfold through internationally recognized standards that ensure every aspect of the discovery receives appropriate documentation while minimizing disturbance to the fragile remains that have been preserved by Peru's unique coastal environment. The face-down positioning and bound hands that characterized these ritual burials required especially careful excavation techniques that could reveal the precise arrangements without compromising the integrity of bones that had maintained their positions for over 3,000 years. The interdisciplinary approach that characterizes modern archaeological investigation brings together specialists in osteology, soil chemistry, environmental reconstruction, and cultural anthropology who contribute different perspectives to the interpretation of discoveries like the Cupisnique sacrifice site. The integration of multiple analytical techniques ensures that research findings reflect comprehensive understanding rather than narrow specialization, while collaborative methodologies enable researchers to address complex questions about ancient societies that no single discipline could resolve independently. The digital documentation technologies employed during the 2025 excavation create permanent archives that preserve detailed information about excavation contexts, artifact positions, and environmental conditions that might otherwise be lost when physical remains are removed from their original locations. High-resolution photography, three-dimensional mapping, and comprehensive written records ensure that future researchers will have access to complete data about the discovery circumstances, enabling continued analysis using techniques that have not yet been developed. The laboratory analysis procedures that follow fieldwork excavation employ non-destructive testing methods whenever possible, using advanced techniques like X-ray imaging, CT scanning, and chemical analysis that can extract maximum information from skeletal remains without causing unnecessary damage to these irreplaceable materials. The bone chemistry studies conducted on the Cupisnique remains revealed important details about diet, health, and lifestyle that contribute to broader understanding of ancient Peruvian communities while respecting the physical integrity of the specimens. The community consultation processes that accompanied the La Libertad excavation demonstrate how contemporary archaeology can serve both scientific and cultural purposes through collaborative approaches that involve local authorities, descendant communities, and religious leaders in decisions about site investigation and artifact treatment. These partnerships ensure that research activities proceed with appropriate cultural sensitivity while providing opportunities for community members to participate in discoveries that illuminate their ancestral heritage. The preservation challenges that face archaeological sites containing human remains require long-term planning and resource allocation that addresses both immediate conservation needs and future research potential, with careful attention to environmental factors that could threaten site integrity over time. The success of preservation efforts depends upon continued collaboration between governmental agencies, academic institutions, and local communities whose support is essential for protecting archaeological heritage from development pressures, environmental degradation, and unauthorized disturbance. The educational responsibilities that accompany archaeological discoveries include not only academic publication and scholarly analysis, but also public engagement activities that help diverse audiences understand the significance of finds like the Cupisnique sacrifice site, while challenging misconceptions about ancient American civilizations. The careful presentation of research results enables contemporary communities to appreciate the sophistication and cultural complexity of pre-Columbian societies while understanding how archaeological investigation contributes to broader human knowledge. The international standards that govern the study of human remains emphasize repatriation protocols, respectful storage procedures, and limited access policies that ensure ancient individuals receive treatment consistent with their dignity as human beings rather than mere research materials. These guidelines reflect recognition that archaeological specimens represent real people whose rights to respectful treatment extend beyond death into the scholarly contexts where their remains contribute to human understanding. The technological innovations that enhance contemporary archaeological practice include ground-penetrating radar, aerial survey techniques, and remote sensing technologies that enable researchers to identify potential sites and plan excavations with minimal environmental impact. The application of these non-invasive methods reduces the need for extensive digging while providing valuable information about subsurface features that might contain important archaeological deposits. The comparative analysis procedures that contextualize individual discoveries within broader patterns of cultural development require access to databases containing information from multiple sites and time periods, enabling researchers to identify regional variations, temporal changes, and cultural influences that shaped ancient societies. The Cupisnique sacrifice site contributes valuable data to these comparative studies while benefiting from insights derived from similar discoveries throughout the Andean region. The funding challenges that face archaeological research require careful budget management and grant applications that demonstrate both scientific merit and cultural significance, ensuring that limited resources support projects that advance human knowledge while serving community interests. The successful completion of excavations like the 2025 La Libertad investigation depends upon sustained financial support from governmental agencies, academic institutions, and private foundations committed to heritage preservation. The training programs that prepare future archaeologists emphasize not only technical skills and theoretical knowledge, but also ethical reasoning and cultural sensitivity that enable researchers to navigate complex situations involving human remains, sacred sites, and community concerns. The next generation of archaeologists will inherit both the accumulated knowledge of previous research and the responsibility for continuing to develop methodologies that serve scientific and cultural purposes simultaneously as we contemplate the remarkable dedication and ethical commitment that characterizes contemporary archaeological investigation of sites like the Cupisnique sacrifice location. We witness the transformation of scholarly inquiry into collaborative endeavor that honors both scientific accuracy and human dignity while creating bridges between ancient wisdom and modern understanding. The patient work of researchers like Henri Tantalean demonstrates how archaeological investigation can serve as respectful dialogue between past and present, enabling us to learn from ancestral achievements while maintaining appropriate reverence for the individuals whose lives contribute to our expanding knowledge of human cultural development. The gentle Pacific breeze that flows across the sites where these investigations continue carries continuing invitations to appreciate both the scientific achievements and ethical evolution that characterize contemporary archaeology, reminding us that the most meaningful discoveries often emerge when rigorous methodology combines with genuine respect for the human dignity that transcends all boundaries of time, culture, and circumstance. As the gentle coastal breeze flows across the archaeological site in Peru's La Libertad region, where Henri Tantalean and his dedicated research team continue their patient work with the 3,000-year-old remains discovered in August 2025, we drift tonight into the complex world of contemporary heritage preservation, where ancient discoveries meet modern challenges of conservation, cultural sensitivity, and the eternal responsibility of protecting irreplaceable archaeological treasures for future generations. Let your mind float peacefully through the ongoing efforts to safeguard these sacred Cupisnique remains, where every decision about storage, analysis, and display reflects careful balance between scientific advancement and respectful treatment of ancient peoples, whose stories continue unfolding through forensic examination and cultural interpretation. Close your eyes and feel the profound weight of guardianship that rests upon contemporary archaeologists, museum curators, and government officials who understand that they serve as temporary custodians of discoveries that belong not to any single generation but to all humanity across the vast expanse of time. Picture yourself observing the careful conservation work that continues at specialized laboratories where the 14 skeletal remains receive individual attention and precise documentation designed to preserve them for centuries of future study, while forensic analysis reveals new details about the trauma patterns, dietary habits, and life circumstances that characterized these ancient sacrifice victims. The ongoing research demonstrates how modern archaeological science can extract unprecedented amounts of information from bones that have waited 3 millennia to share their stories, using non-destructive testing methods that respect the physical integrity of these irreplaceable materials while contributing to broader understanding of Cupisnique religious practices and social organization. The preservation challenges that face archaeological sites throughout Peru reflect broader threats. Confronting cultural heritage worldwide, where coastal erosion, climate change, urban development, and agricultural expansion threaten to destroy irreplaceable evidence of ancient civilizations before researchers can properly document and interpret their significance. The success of Henri Tantalean's August 2025 excavation demonstrates the importance of timely intervention in protecting sites that might otherwise be lost to environmental forces or human activities that prioritize immediate economic benefits over long-term heritage preservation. Watch as the international collaboration that characterizes contemporary archaeological research brings together specialists from multiple countries and disciplines who contribute different perspectives to the interpretation of discoveries like the Cupisnique sacrifice site. While digital documentation technologies create permanent archives that ensure findings remain accessible to future researchers regardless of changing political conditions or institutional priorities. The careful photography, three-dimensional mapping, and comprehensive written records produced during the 2025 excavation established new standards for heritage documentation that will influence archaeological practice throughout Latin America and beyond. The ethical frameworks that guide contemporary treatment of human remains reflect evolved understanding of the relationships between scientific research, cultural sensitivity, and indigenous rights that require careful consultation with descendant communities whose ancestors created the archaeological sites being studied. The respectful approach demonstrated by Tantalean's team illustrates how modern archaeology can serve both scholarly and cultural purposes through collaborative methodologies that honor traditional knowledge while contributing to academic understanding of ancient civilizations and their continuing relevance for contemporary communities. The educational responsibilities that accompany major archaeological discoveries include not only professional publication and scholarly analysis but also public engagement activities that help diverse audiences appreciate the significance of finds like the Cupisnique sacrifice site, while challenging misconceptions about pre-Columbian American societies. The careful presentation of research results enables contemporary Peruvians to understand their cultural heritage while providing international audiences with accurate information about the sophistication and complexity of ancient American civilizations. The funding challenges that face long-term heritage preservation require sustained commitment from governmental agencies, academic institutions, and private foundations whose support is essential for maintaining the specialized facilities, equipment, and expertise necessary for proper conservation of archaeological materials. The successful completion of projects like the 2025 La Libertad excavation depends upon continued financial resources that enable researchers to conduct thorough analysis while ensuring appropriate storage and protection for recovered artifacts and skeletal remains. The technological innovations that enhance contemporary conservation efforts include climate-controlled storage systems, advanced imaging techniques, and digital preservation methods that extend the lifespan of fragile archaeological materials while enabling remote access for researchers who cannot visit physical collections. The application of these technologies to the Cupisnique remains ensures that future scholars will have access to detailed information about the discoveries even if changing environmental conditions affect the physical specimens. The legal frameworks that govern archaeological heritage protection in Peru include national legislation, international treaties, and professional ethics codes that establish standards for excavation, analysis, and preservation activities while addressing issues of ownership, repatriation, and cultural sovereignty that affect relationships between researchers and the communities whose ancestors created archaeological sites. The compliance with these regulations demonstrated during the 2025 excavation illustrates how responsible archaeological practice can proceed within established legal parameters while respecting cultural sensitivities. The training programs that prepare future heritage professionals emphasize not only technical skills and theoretical knowledge, but also cultural competency and ethical reasoning that enable new generations of archaeologists, conservators, and museum professionals to navigate complex situations involving human remains, sacred sites, and community concerns. The mentorship provided to young researchers during projects like the Cupisnique investigation ensures that essential knowledge and professional standards continue evolving to meet changing social expectations and technological possibilities. The conservation science that supports long-term preservation of archaeological materials requires ongoing research into degradation processes, treatment methods, and storage conditions that affect different types of artifacts and biological specimens, recovered from various environmental contexts. The lessons learned from preserving the Cupisnique remains contribute to broader understanding of how coastal archaeological sites can be protected from salt damage, humidity fluctuations, and other environmental factors that threaten heritage preservation efforts throughout Peru and other maritime regions. The community engagement initiatives that accompany heritage preservation projects include educational programs, cultural events, and collaborative research opportunities that enable local populations to participate in discoveries related to their ancestral heritage while providing mechanisms for traditional knowledge to inform scientific interpretation of archaeological findings. The success of these partnerships depends upon mutual respect and shared commitment to understanding the past while addressing contemporary cultural needs and aspirations. The digital preservation strategies that ensure long-term access to archaeological information include database development, online repositories, and virtual reality applications that enable global audiences to explore discoveries like the Cupisnique sacrifice site without compromising the physical integrity of fragile specimens or sensitive cultural materials. These technological approaches democratize access to heritage resources while maintaining appropriate protections for items that require restricted handling or display. The international cooperation that characterizes contemporary archaeology includes collaborative research agreements, technical assistance programs, and professional exchange initiatives that enable developing countries to build capacity for heritage preservation while benefiting from expertise and resources available through global networks of scholars and institutions. The participation of international experts in projects like the 2025 La Libertad excavation demonstrates how cross-border collaboration can enhance archaeological research while respecting national sovereignty over cultural heritage resources. The climate change adaptation strategies that address threats to coastal archaeological sites include sea level monitoring, erosion mitigation, and emergency response planning that enable heritage managers to protect vulnerable sites from environmental changes that could destroy irreplaceable cultural resources within decades. The urgency of these challenges requires immediate action to document and preserve sites like the Cupisnique temple complex before rising seas or increased storm activity compromise their archaeological integrity as we contemplate the ongoing efforts to preserve and protect the remarkable discoveries made at the Cupisnique sacrifice site. We witness the dedication of contemporary professionals who understand that their work serves not only academic purposes but also cultural and spiritual needs of communities whose heritage connects directly to these ancient remains. The patient collaboration between archaeologists, conservators, government officials, and local residents demonstrates how diverse stakeholders can work together to ensure that irreplaceable cultural resources receive appropriate protection while contributing to broader human understanding of our shared heritage. The gentle Pacific breeze that flows across the sites where these preservation efforts continue carries continuing invitations to appreciate both the scientific achievements and ethical evolution that characterize contemporary heritage work, reminding us that the most meaningful discoveries often emerge when rigorous methodology combines with genuine respect for the cultural significance that transcends all boundaries of time, nationality, and professional specialization in service of truth and human dignity. As the gentle evening stars begin their eternal watch over the sacred archaeological site in Peru's La Libertad region, where the patient work of Henri Tantalean and countless dedicated researchers continues revealing glimpses of ancient wisdom through careful excavation and respectful analysis, We arrive tonight at the serene conclusion of our journey through the profound mysteries of the 3,000-year-old human sacrifice discovery that has opened new windows into the spiritual world of the Cupisnique people. Let your mind drift peacefully through the timeless questions that connect these ancient voices to our contemporary search for meaning, where each carefully documented bone and artifact whispers across the millennia about the eternal human quest to understand our place within the cosmic order that governs both individual existence and collective destiny. Close your eyes and feel the profound presence of those 14 individuals whose willing sacrifice 3,000 years ago continues teaching us about courage, devotion, and the mysterious relationship between mortality and transcendence that challenges every generation to discover deeper truths about the sacred connections that unite all human experience across the vast expanse of time and cultural transformation. Picture yourself standing in quiet contemplation at the site where these ancient remains were discovered, feeling the gentle Pacific breeze that has witnessed countless generations of human searching while carrying whispers of questions that transcend any single culture or historical period. What does it mean to live a meaningful life? How do communities balance individual needs with collective welfare? What responsibilities do the living bear toward the dead? And what wisdom can ancient practices offer to contemporary societies seeking harmony between material prosperity and spiritual fulfillment? The Cupisnique sacrifice site serves as more than archaeological curiosity. It functions as mirror reflecting our own deepest concerns about mortality, purpose, and the search for connection with forces greater than ourselves. The remarkable preservation of these 3,000-year-old remains reminds us that some human experiences transcend the boundaries of time and culture, connecting us directly to ancestors who faced many of the same fundamental questions that continue challenging contemporary communities seeking balance between individual aspirations and social responsibilities. The face-down burial position and bound hands that characterize these ritual deaths speak to spiritual beliefs that understood personal sacrifice as pathway to collective blessing, offering alternative perspectives on the relationship between self and community that merit thoughtful consideration by modern societies struggling with questions of meaning and purpose. Watch as the ongoing research continues, revealing new dimensions of Cupisnique civilization that expand our understanding of human cultural potential while raising additional questions about the sophisticated spiritual and social systems that enabled ancient communities to maintain stability and meaning across multiple generations of environmental and cultural challenges. Each new discovery provides answers to specific questions while simultaneously opening pathways to deeper mysteries that ensure archaeological investigation will continue for generations, with future researchers possessing tools and techniques we cannot yet imagine for extracting information from ancient deposits. The international recognition that the August 2025 discovery received demonstrates the global significance of archaeological findings that illuminate universal aspects of human experience while highlighting the particular achievements of pre-Columbian American civilizations, whose contributions to human cultural development continue expanding our appreciation for the diversity and sophistication of ancient societies. The careful documentation and analysis of the Cupisnique remains contributes valuable data to comparative studies of ritual sacrifice, social organization, and religious practice that help scholars understand common patterns and unique variations in how different cultures have addressed eternal questions about life, death, and spiritual meaning. The ethical frameworks that guide contemporary archaeological research at sites containing human remains reflect evolved understanding of the relationships between scientific inquiry, cultural sensitivity, and human dignity that require careful balance between advancing knowledge and respecting the spiritual significance that ancient sites continue holding for descendant communities. The collaborative approaches demonstrated during the 2025 excavation illustrate how modern scholarship can serve both academic and cultural purposes through methodologies that honor traditional wisdom while contributing to broader human understanding of our shared heritage and continuing quest for meaning. The educational value of discoveries like the Cupisnique sacrifice site extends far beyond academic circles to encompass public engagement opportunities that help diverse audiences appreciate both the material achievements and spiritual insights of ancient peoples, whose dedication to community welfare and cosmic harmony offers valuable perspectives for contemporary societies seeking sustainable approaches to social organization and environmental stewardship. The careful presentation of research findings challenges misconceptions about indigenous American cultures while demonstrating the continuing relevance of ancient wisdom for modern communities. The preservation challenges that face archaeological heritage worldwide remind us that each generation bears responsibility for protecting irreplaceable cultural resources for future scholars and community members who will continue seeking understanding about human potential and cultural achievement. The success of conservation efforts requires sustained collaboration between governmental agencies, academic institutions, and local communities whose support is essential for maintaining the specialized facilities and expertise necessary for proper care of ancient materials that connect us to our shared human story. The technological innovations that enhance contemporary archaeological practice enable researchers to extract unprecedented amounts of information from ancient deposits while maintaining appropriate respect for the cultural and spiritual significance of sites containing human remains. The digital documentation methods employed during the 2025 excavation create permanent archives that ensure discoveries remain accessible to future researchers regardless of changing political conditions or institutional priorities, while advanced analytical techniques reveal details about ancient life that previous generations could never have imagined. The comparative perspectives that emerge from studying sites like the Cupisnique sacrifice location contribute to broader understanding of how different cultures have developed solutions to universal human challenges related to social organization, resource management, and spiritual practice. The evidence of sophisticated urban planning, advanced agricultural techniques, and complex religious systems demonstrates that ancient American societies achieved remarkable cultural sophistication that merits respectful study and appreciation by contemporary audiences seeking models for sustainable community development. The ongoing research questions that drive future archaeological investigation include not only technical concerns about dating, cultural relationships, and environmental reconstruction, but also fundamental inquiries about human nature, social organization, and spiritual belief that connect ancient discoveries to contemporary concerns about meaning, purpose, and community welfare. The Cupisnique civilization offers unique perspectives on these eternal questions through material evidence that documents alternative approaches to balancing individual fulfillment with collective responsibility. The legacy of Henri Tantalean's August 2025 discovery extends beyond its immediate contributions to Cupisnique studies to encompass broader implications for archaeological methodology, ethical practice, and public engagement that will influence heritage research throughout Latin America and beyond. The careful attention to cultural sensitivity, scientific rigor, and community collaboration demonstrated during the excavation establishes new standards for heritage investigation that respects both academic requirements and indigenous rights while serving educational purposes for diverse audiences. The philosophical questions raised by studying ancient ritual sacrifice include fundamental inquiries about the nature of spiritual belief, the role of death in human understanding, and the relationship between individual mortality and collective meaning that continue challenging contemporary communities seeking coherent worldviews that address both material needs and spiritual aspirations. The evidence from the Cupisnique site suggests that ancient peoples developed sophisticated theological frameworks for understanding these eternal mysteries through practices that integrated personal sacrifice with community welfare. The future directions of research at the Cupisnique site and related locations will likely reveal additional evidence of the complex social, religious, and economic systems that characterized this remarkable civilization while contributing to broader understanding of pre-Columbian American cultural development. The application of new analytical techniques to existing collections and the discovery of additional sites will continue expanding our appreciation for the achievements of ancient Andean societies while raising new questions about their relationships to contemporary indigenous communities and their relevance for modern social challenges as we contemplate the profound questions raised by the 3,000-year-old human sacrifice. Discovered in Peru's coastal sands, we recognize that some mysteries are meant to unfold gradually across generations of patient investigation, revealing their deepest meanings only to those who approach with appropriate reverence, scientific rigor, and genuine commitment to understanding the sacred dimensions of human experience that transcend the boundaries of time, culture, and personal belief. The ancient voices that speak through archaeological discovery continue inviting us to consider our own relationships with mortality, meaning, and the eternal human quest for connection with forces greater than ourselves. The gentle Pacific breeze that flows across the sites where these investigations continue carries continuing whispers of ancient wisdom and timeless questions that connect all generations in the shared human journey toward understanding, reminding us that the most profound Discoveries often emerge not from finding final answers but from learning to ask better questions about the mystery of existence and our responsibilities to each other across the vast expanse of time and cultural transformation that defines our remarkable human story.